Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Kevin Costner spends time with mystery woman post-divorce after sharing Yellowstone finale thoughts. Kevin Costner appears to be enjoying his time off after Yellowstone has come to an end. The actor was spotted in Aspen, Colorado on Wednesday taking his dog for a walk. He wore brown sunglasses, light-wash jeans, hiking boots, and a black puffer jacket. He was joined by a mystery woman who donned hiking boots, blue jeans, and a black puffer jacket with a furry hood. Though the Yellowstone finale occurred not too long ago, Kevin's character, John Dutton, was not in it. Kevin finalized his divorce earlier this year from Christine Baumgartner. The two were married for 18 years and shares joint custody of their 3 children. It was a messy public divorce, with Christine asking for $250,000 in child support, which Kevin believed she would use on plastic surgery. The two ended up settling their separation privately. Kevin also recently weighed in on the Yellowstone finale despite not appearing in it. John was killed off earlier in Season 5 in a murder meant to look like a suicide. While fans were vocal about their dislike for the final episode, Kevin seemed to not have a lot of emotion about the highly acclaimed show. "I'm not thinking about the Yellowstone finale. I don't think I've given it any thoughts. We'll just let it go," he said to the Daily Mail. Kevin's animosity for the show seems to stem from a fallout Kevin had with the show's creator, Taylor Sheridan. Kevin's character's early death didn't surprise fans who knew of the long-running feud. Besides Taylor, Kevin also seemed to reportedly have bad blood with his on-screen son, actor Luke Grimes. Luke spoke about the death of John Dutton. "Hopefully everyone can see that it was time," he said. "To be really honest, there was a part of Kevin being gone that meant some of the conflict was gone," Luke continued, and seemingly pointed the finger at the Dancing with Wolves star. "Obviously, it didn't make it super fun to be around. Not pointing any fingers, but it was actually the easiest season we've filmed." The finale of the hit show saw Case Dutton selling the ranch to its rightful owners, the Broken Rock Indians. Meanwhile, Beth Dutton and her husband Rip Wheeler purchased a new ranch together after she murdered her brother Jamie. Some people online didn't enjoy how the long-running series ended. "I felt like it was entirely too rushed. The whole season, the guys leaving, everything," one person wrote. "The plot with Jamie and the kill for hire was way too rushed. It ended way too quickly and easily. Just all around felt like it was a lazy, last-minute put together." The evening was calm, the kind of quiet that can only come after a storm. Kevin Costner sat by the window of his private study, the weight of the past few months pressing heavily upon him. The final episode of Yellowstone had aired the night before, marking the end of an era. The series that had so thoroughly defined his life for the past few years had finally come to a close, and with that, Costner had said goodbye to John Dutton, a character who had been as much a part of him as the roles he had played throughout his illustrious career. Yet it wasn't just the series finale that had made the previous months challenging for Costner. His high-profile divorce had played out in the public eye, and the pain of the split from his wife, Christine Baumgartner, was still fresh. The media frenzy had been relentless, and Costner had found solace only in the rare quiet moments he allowed himself. He wasn't one to share his private life openly, and after the press's scrutiny, the idea of retreating into something new seemed almost comforting. It was in this atmosphere of reflection and resolution that Kevin had arranged a simple afternoon away from it all. The woman sitting across from him, her face partially obscured by the sunlight streaming through the open window, was someone he had known for a while, though, until now, she had always been a quiet presence in the background. Her name was Emily. She was a fellow artist, a painter who had caught his eye during a charity event months ago. They had shared a few conversations since, but there had never been any pressure. Their connection was easy, like two old friends who had merely lost track of each other over time. As Kevin watched her, the lines of worry seemed to soften from his face. Emily, dressed in simple jeans and a vintage t-shirt, had an effortless style. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a loose ponytail, and her hazel eyes sparkled with a quiet understanding, the kind that only someone with a true appreciation of life's complexities could possess. "It's hard to believe it's over," Kevin said, his voice still holding the remnants of the intensity he had carried through filming. "Yellowstone, I mean. It feels like I've lived with that character for so long, I don't know who I am without him." Emily smiled, her eyes warm. It's always strange, isn't it? Letting go of something that's been such a huge part of you. But maybe it's like the seasons changing. You can't stop them, but there's always something new that comes after. Kevin chuckled softly. I like that. A new season. That's what it feels like, doesn't it? Like I'm waiting for the next chapter to unfold, but I have no idea what it will be. They were sitting on the terrace of a quiet cabin nestled among the hills, far away from the hustle of Hollywood and the relentless prying eyes of the paparazzi. The air was crisp, and the scent of pine filled the air, grounding them both in the present moment. For Kevin, the idea of a new chapter was something he hadn't quite come to terms with. The divorce, the end of Yellowstone, and the subsequent questions about what he would do next had left him in a state of uncertainty. But with Emily, there was a rare feeling of peace, a reminder that life went on, regardless of what had happened before. I never thought I'd be here, Kevin admitted, his eyes fixed on the horizon, where the sun was just beginning to set. After everything, it feels like the world has shifted. I've been through so much, and I keep thinking that maybe I missed something along the way. Emily leaned back in her chair, her gaze thoughtful. I don't think you missed anything, Kevin. Sometimes life's twists and turns lead us exactly where we need to go, even if it feels like we're off track. He glanced at her, a faint smile playing at the corners of his lips. You make it sound so simple. She shrugged, her expression calm and serene. It is simple. Not easy, but simple. The hard part is letting go of all the expectations, of who we think we should be and who we actually are. Once you do that, everything becomes clearer. Kevin was quiet for a moment, absorbing her words. The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable. It was as though he had found someone who truly understood the weight of what he had been through. In Emily's presence, he could finally breathe, no longer suffocated by the constant scrutiny of the media or the inner turmoil of his personal life. Tell me about your art, Kevin said, changing the subject, eager to learn more about the woman who had brought such a quiet, yet powerful, presence into his life. He wanted to shift the focus away from the past and onto something more present. Emily's face brightened as she spoke of her paintings, the vivid colors she used to express emotion, the way she channeled her inner world onto canvas. She spoke with passion, but also with a humility that made Kevin feel as though he were witnessing a piece of her soul. I paint what I feel, she said simply. I don't overthink it. I let the brush take me where it wants to go. Kevin listened intently, fascinated by her outlook on life. He admired the way she lived without the weight of public opinion dictating her choices. He had spent so much of his life in the public eye, always wondering how his next move would be perceived, always trying to live up to expectations. Emily was different. She moved through the world with a quiet confidence, unaffected by the noise that often accompanied fame. As the evening drew on, the two of them continued to talk, the conversation flowing effortlessly between them. It was as though they had known each other for years, and in many ways they had. Though their connection had been slow to bloom, it had become undeniable. What began as a chance meeting had evolved into something more. Something that felt like it had the potential to be long-lasting, even if they didn't yet know what it would become. When the night grew late, Emily stood up, stretching her arms above her head. I should get going, she said, her voice gentle. But this was nice. I think you needed this, Kevin. He smiled, standing to accompany her to the door. I did. More than you know. As she turned to leave, Kevin stood on the doorstep, watching her walk down the path that led into the woods. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel the weight of the world pressing down on him. He didn't feel the need to have all the answers. Instead, he simply allowed himself to feel a sense of peace, knowing that whatever came next, he wasn't alone. The future was uncertain, but with Emily's presence in his life, Kevin knew that he had someone who saw him for who he truly was. And maybe, just maybe, that was all he needed to begin the next chapter of his journey.